This is Cinnamon Cooney, your Art Sherpa, and today I'm going to show you how to paint that gorgeous, perfect wave with Seafoam on that amazing sunset beach in acrylic, step by step. I'm going to explain everything you need to know to be able to create this for yourself at home. On the mic is my husband, John.
Hello.
He is here to help me do that. He's going to zoom in with robotic cameras. We're going to catch questions from the live chats. So if you're here for the live chat today, the moderators are putting up little comments and things to let you know how to participate in that. And also we'll be dropping links and helping you guys find resources. Now, today is going to be a lot of fun because I don't know about you, but today, John, I need to take my mind and my soul to the beach.
Oh, yeah.
Right? The world can do what it wants to do, but I need to hear the ocean. I need to feel the sea foam on my face. I just need to feel like I got away. I'm surrounded by snow, so I'm definitely going to be using my imagination to do that. But beyond that, I'm going to show you how you can paint this painting. Now, we're going to break this down in steps, and we're going to break it down in really digestible steps, and you'll see those come up on the screen. We're also going to make sure we do a break, because it'll be a longer lesson, but it's one that I'm doing this way so you can do it for sure for yourself at home. On top of that, if you wait a little bit, in about 7 to 10 days after the video publishes, we generally release a step-by-step mini book, which is the entire video written out. So if you'd like those extra resources, there's a traceable if you don't feel like drawing, and there's a grid guide. Because this is such a simplistic image, we can do a simple grid on it, which is what I'm going to demo today. Are you guys ready? Let's talk about the materials. Do you have the material bumper?
Ooh, let's see here.
Let's see if he does. I'm going to sip my coffee.
But I'll get it here in a second. How
All
about
right.
that? Because that was what I didn't get loaded today.
You know what? There was a lot of things going. Just getting that wonderful ocean noise. That was its own journey, but I felt like you guys needed that today. I know I needed that today. I just want to listen to that in my house on the speakers. It's been intense. Well, John's finding that.
I guess I have the acrylic April one. That's what I had.
Okay. I had sent the other one, but...
Oh, I found it.
Oh, good. He found it. Now, right now, what you see here is a 16 by 20 canvas. This is a little stretch canvas. On it, I have a wish for a great acrylic April 2021. Remember, acrylic April is coming. There's our Game of Thrones thing. Also, this has just been recently been posting up a lot of stuff on the Facebook fan page. And there was such a conversation that came up out of this that today's wish is, especially with this ocean, I felt like this was really spot on, a cure and treatment for epilepsy, and also better cures and treatments for brain trauma. Just more understanding around the human brain and how it functions and its health. Do we have the bumper yet?
We do. All
right, let's show that so that you guys have this. Now, this is going to let you guys have a really good idea. And you'll see up there, these are the colors we're using today. Right, and a reminder that there's a no draw traceable that's free to download. There also the grid is there, and you see the girl with the mini book. She's to remind you that there is probably, especially if you're rewatching this, an amazing mini book that's like a little chapter of this video that's free to download. Okay, let's look at these colors though on our wet palette, and I made sure I had exactly this one in the description and the little inserts and everything. You could use peel paper or plate or anything. We have Cad Yellow Medium, Naples Yellow Light. If you need to know more about this color, because this is a weird one, I have a whole blog about it. Burnt Sienna, Phthalo Green, Phthalo Blue, Ultramarine Blue, Quinacridone Magenta, Cad Red Medium, Ox Purple, Mars Black, and Titanium White. Now, one of the important things that we're going to need to do is to lay out and begin our canvas. So I think we're ready for step one, John.
Are we?
Yeah, I think so.
So I would have to have that like ready
Boom.
to go.
Step one. It's going to be an amazing creative day. All my worries are going to go away. So I'll use a big ruler. That way you can see what's going on from the top of the surface of this canvas at 5 1/4 inches, which is just between 14.5 and 15 centimeters, whatever that is. And I'm going to take a watercolor pencil to make this mark so that it goes into the paint that I'm going to do. I'm going to make a horizon line. All right, so it's 5 3/4. Make sure I have that, not 4 3/4, because you know me. Yeah, this is the 5 3/4. Okay. You know me, maths. All right. So this lets me do a straight line. I normally demo a little plastic one, and that one's just fine. You've just got to hold it from both sides. But what this tells me is that above this line is sky, and down this line, right, is the ocean. I'm going to mark the halfway point here because I just want to capture the point of my wave. So the halfway point on this is 10 inches. And this won't be too bad. We're just going to be marking some zones because we're not going to paint the whole canvas today, which is interesting. And then the next mark that I'm going to want to make is at the 14-inch point, right? And at the 12-inch point. Now the 12, I'll go ahead and mark across, because that will help me border my wave. So when I say simple grid, right, and I gave you all the lines in our simple grid, but what I mean is these are just a few lines that help us anchor how we would lay out the piece. And what you can do with this then is you can start to get a sense of, right, here's the 5 3/4 inch line, and here's the 14-inch mark. The front of my wave, right, going to come here. This is very simple. Do you have to draw it? No, you don't have to draw it. You could draw it. You could use the traceable. If you're using the traceable, you want to use your poster feature on your printer. And I can't say exactly where that is because I don't have your printer. Now what do I know? I know this is sand. I know I have some ocean here. And I know I have sky here. And really, that's the 3 zones. This is the background. In this space is the middle ground. And the foam and the wave and the sand of the beach is our foreground. So we're learning some big landscape stuff, but we're not doing it in a way that's very stressful for us. Now, one thing that I can do is I can take a fairly big brush and I can kind of paint in roughly these zones. So let's do that just real quick. I'm going to get my... This is a number 12 Textura by Raphael. It's a bright, right, which means it's square and short from here. So it's a number 24 Raphael in the Textura line. Do you have to have this exact brush, you may ask? You don't. We're going to just do brown on the sand. We know we're going to come back with a sandier color. This is just going to help us know where certain parts of the painting are, right? Mm. And we want that. I see Alex is here, and I see Raheel is here, and I see Linda D and Haley Brown. Whose birthday is it, John? Oh, Alex's birthday.
Yeah, tomorrow.
Happy birthday. We've had a lot of birthdays. Got a lot going on.
See if we can
paint all of this below the wave. Kind of with this brown. It doesn't need to be very perfect, guys. It can be real loose and even messy. Instead of just painting the whole canvas one color, we're doing an underpainting and we're kind of blocking it in. That's all that's happening. You guys can totally handle that.
Mm-hmm. It's totally blockable.
All right. Beach. Achieved, my friends. Achieved and unlocked. Now, interestingly enough, as I come back here, really to write about this zone, I will have seafoam and stuff, but there is sort of an undercolor. So I'm going to go ahead and take my brown and mix it into my Naples yellow light a little bit. Maybe even get some red into it. We're just making what will be the under the wave. Under the foam color. So Naples yellow light, burnt sienna, and a little cad red. And you can see I'm just lightly putting it out. We're going to just make sure that we have a good basis to work from. We have a very rich warm sand in this particular piece. And so I want to just make sure I have the beginnings of that.
Now that's an interesting thing I've heard you talk about before, that there are cool oceans and warm oceans, and kind of your color palettes dictate how your eye interprets that, huh?
Yeah, it really does. Because you have visual information in your mind, whether you think of it or not, from ads or print ads or TV, of what a particular ocean might look or feel like. There we go. Notice that I am, gosh, it's not really like super neat. It's kind of messy, and that's okay. That is absolutely all right. I'm
like
going
someone
to even get right into my phthalo blue and phthalo green here. And just go. And all that. And it's okay if I blend these two just a little bit. Look there.
Oh, yeah.
So that works because this area of the canvas is wet. So now I'm phthalo blue and phthalo green, making my very favorite Sherpa color of phthalo turquoise. Right?
Which is the color of the ocean in Southern California.
Yep, it pretty much is. Maybe why it speaks to me. I imagine it's the color of a lot of people's oceans around the world. Now, guess what, guys? When I get back here, I want to be kind of straight, though. I want to keep my lines level. And you'll notice that I am suddenly being a little neat and tidy. This is where I'm going to slow down and think about things just a bit.
Now, is this a place for tape?
You could absolutely use tape. Artist tape
cheating?
Right now. It is not cheating. The only thing that's cheating in art is to lie about who made it, when they made it, and how it got made. When it becomes fraud, that's when you cheat in art. Everything else is just, the process that you ascribe to. But really, look, guys, you wouldn't normally think that the basis for what we're going to have at the end of this, which is a super gorgeous ocean with detailed foam and an amazing sunset sky, starts with weird stripy areas.
Yeah, that's
right.
Actually, you can see it there. It's got the little reference image in there, and you can kind of see it. It's like
now, there's a lot going on in the sky.
Yeah.
So let's break up the underpainting of the ocean, right? Since we're not having to blend from the ocean to the sky, right?
Oh, yeah.
We can go ahead and break those two elements from each other. All right. So John's going to take a picture of this and put up a step 2. I'm going to sip some coffee so that I'm ready for step 2. Hope my coffee is still warm. It's the craziest thing. My paint dries out and the room is warm, but then the coffee cup wants to get cold. Why is that? I don't know. Taking a deep breath. Imagine you hear the ocean. You can smell the salt air, that sea air, and you hear the distant gulls and the waves are lapping. I didn't even get to sip it. You took it and I didn't even get to sip it. Stop. This is not calming. Oh, my calming painting. So it's so funny. I give him a little bit of grief, but I go through my YouTube channel and I read comments. And I was going back through a thing and somebody was saying, poor John, he'll never go shopping for you again. It's a really old video. And I just thought, I wonder what I did. And then I think, sad thing is, he's still shopping for me, so I don't know what happened. So we kind of hassle each other a little bit, but we've been married a really long time, like 20 blah, blah, blah years, and I don't know the exact number. I bet my mother I love knows that, but I don't know it. So a minute, he's allowed to mess with my coffee cup as much as he wants to. I gave him so much grief about, can we have some ocean noises so we can hear the ocean while we're painting? I'm going to keep using this Raphael Textura. Look, you could use, look at this. This would be just fine. You just want a nice big brush. This is just a bigger brush. This is closer in size to, say, number 12, right? So when you hear artists talk about brushes or they throw up brushes in the video, what you want is you want a brush for acrylic paint that holds not too much water and is firm enough to move the heavy bodied paint around. A lot of brushes will do that job. A lot. I'm going to just keep using this brush. Now, where I have put some wishes, I might take some water because I really don't want the words to get into my sky here.
Mm.
And that's the other reason that I picked blue, is I just knew I'd have some of this going here. Now, the lower part of the sky tends to run into the yellows, and then as we come up, we get into kind of oranges and greens. So let's start with a little bit of our Naples yellow and our Cad yellow. And kind of just neatly go across here. Tape if you need it. Tape if you're concerned. You could just use Cad yellow and white if you didn't have both yellows. You don't have to be worried about that. This is a pretty orangey yellow down here. All right. We just want to start with this. Now, the thing that's going to happen, right, as we go up, is that we're going to be getting into this sort of turquoise sky, and we need to have this yellow bottom. And I do kind of need to start thinking about how I'm going to get those two areas to blend. So I do want this to be damp as I move into the next part. I'm going to get my brush wet. I'm going to grab, interestingly enough, some white. Kind of add this little white strip here. As you see, that sort of lightens the yellow. But it's also going to give me a juicy bit of wet paint so that when I come into my blue and green over here in my very big white area, when I come down, I can blend these two together. Moving from the orange to blue in a sunset can be one of the more challenging sunsets to do for new painters. When I'm coming to the edges that are wet, I'm going to brush back and forth. And the reason is because they're complements. So they want to gray each other out. This little trick here lets you start that process
now
with a little less angst. And there is, if you ever observe the sky when it's like this, it will have a little bit of a sort of green band.
Now, I don't know if you know this, but you just wiped your brush there.
Yes.
Why'd you do that?
Because I want to control the amount of water is on my brush.
Okay.
I'm always with a paint towel wiping my brush, controlling the amount of pigment and paint that's on there, because what I want is to have kind of a nice little gradation. It's still even a bit stripy. Right?
That's okay.
That's okay. I can always come through too with a little bit of yellow and white. And just make sure that it's a little more transitional. You guys see the transition?
Mm-hmm.
Right. But we need to have it distinctly in the yellows here and then distinctly in the blues here. So we come in with these orange colors. We're not doing these very transparent orange glazes over blue, and we're not doing blue over orange, because it'll mess with our sunset. Now, interestingly enough, this is that.
This is that?
This is that.
That's
I don't
this.
want to get into the more complicated clouds until we have this basis in and dry. And so that's where you guys need to go. So that's 3. Not too bad on the perfect wave as we cook through our day. Also, we're going to probably be changing brushes. I'm going to bend over for just a second and get one of my towels, my favorite towels. Oh, thank you. Yeah, oh, so John was saying that you guys liked my hair. So thank you. I enjoyed it. What it was is that my mother-in-law, she did pretty hair today. So I was like, oh my gosh, we all got to do pretty hair today. So I did pretty hair too. But it was, she inspired me. All right. Huh? What? Yellow paint on your hand. Maybe you should have dried it before I handed it to you. Probably would have been compassionate.
Meh.
So when you go back on the mini books, that'll help you anchor what brush we used, what color mixes we had. You know, you can take notes during the video. And of course, I'm going to illustrate and talk about it. If you check descriptions, I have also more information about materials, brushes, things like that down there as well. So there's a lot. There's a lot.
There's some
And
stuff.
it's free and traceable. It's free. All right. I'm going to dry this.
Are you?
Yeah, because
Okay.
I want to create a very horizon line. and I want to make nice dramatic clouds, and I want to be able to draw in here so you can see what my thinking is.
So guys, if you're just joining us, don't forget to check the link in the description down below for information on where to find all of the resources and things that we have available for you. That includes the mini book, the traceable, link to our website, how to get information on the text messaging, things like that. That's all available up there. As a matter of fact, if you want to just text text the Art Sherpa to 33222 and you'll get text notifications when we go live. So, as you can see here, checking there, making sure that the surface is thoroughly dry.
Nah.
Nope.
Oh, and my...
So, I don't know what she said. Oh, something's about to fall. I'm not sure what she says. I'm going to have to go check this out. I'll be right back, guys.
Yeah, it's about to drop. And it needs to be up this level with the table. Okay. I loosened my easel earlier and okay. And did not tighten it up enough, I guess. That is what happened there. When these things get a little bit older and they've been in your life a minute, sometimes the wood warps or changes, and you can have those glue snaps. Sometimes you'll have to do an extra tightening. I have a new easel I'm going to be testing out soon, but I'm always weary to put something new on the show. Now, earlier John had mentioned tape. I think tape could be a really good idea.
Do you need some?
It's over there.
This tape?
I had the big tape, but I need that tape. So we have our wonderful T-square, right? And we can go ahead and definitely demark a very, very nice straight line.
Ooh.
I'll use chalk, or well, I could probably use an orange one. This is watercolor pencil, which is why I'm not particularly worried about it. Why do I keep fussing with this horizon line? Because in your ocean, the first thing that's going to throw off your composition is that gets unlevel. I harp on it a lot, I know, but I have a lot of successful beginning students, and I really do think this is one of the things that truly helps them. So I'm going to go ahead. This is low tack tape. This particular brand is called Stick. You could use masking tape that you tap against your jeans. That's a pretty good art hack. Washi tape works fairly well. What you want is something that you can press down that gives you a seal and an edge, but isn't going to rip your paint back up off the canvas. So you wouldn't want to use, like, say, Gorilla-based tape.
No.
Right.
Or
reference something.
duck-based tape.
Oh, by the way, just for everybody out there, if you paint with me, always read the safety sheets when you're using a glue product or an aerosol or anything.
Yes.
Because when
mistakes can happen.
Mistakes can happen, and that's why I'm always harping on studio safety. You saw a young lady who actually glued her hair. Honestly, people make a lot of mistakes in the art studio, so be safe.
Be safe.
Read the safety sheets.
Use them.
Yeah. You know,
Guidance.
it can go beyond you mess up a painting line on your thing. Now I'm going to get a fan brush, I think. I guess I will, maybe I'll grab a hog one.
Now, are you a fan of this brush, or is it called that?
I'm going to do this
reason?
one. This is a Simply Simmons. It's a nice little hog, and they're inexpensive. And if you've noticed, there's a bit of a sort of radial glow. I don't want to not lose, I don't want to lose that. So again, this brush, number 6, Simply Simmons fan brush with hog bristles. I'm going to barely get it wet. Barely. And I'm going to get some of my white on here. It will have a little of the blue. Notice that I kind of rock around to where it had blue, but it's pretty light. I'm going to begin here. I'm going to just start to very lightly fan out. I'm not pressing hard. Notice that the bristles are not bending. A little bit here. And I may lift this up some so that I can do a longer stroke.
And not have to...
Yeah, stop myself. Because I can always come back and add blue. Come back with blue. We want to start at the beginning of what feels like sunbeam, sort of radial going out. I'll rinse out. Now, you'll see me wipe this out on a towel, and that's because Hog can overhold water. Let's get a little bit of our Phthalo Green and Phthalo Blue together. And then brush this back. You could use the Art Sherpa fan that you have. That would work really well in this. You just want to use something that lets you get some nice radial lines. See how we're starting to work out that sort of glowing halo. This is big. People love this. When they see your paintings and they see your glowing halo, they're going to be like, what? If you need more water, you don't want to get the brush too wet, right? Wet enough to work, but not so wet it won't do what you need. A lot of clouds will cover up some of this, so don't be too stressed at maybe areas like here. If I need to, I'll go back into my white. And I can come on the edge of the fan also. Try to change up the brushes that I use sometimes. And I'm not even always on the, the brushes that we have in the line. I want you to know that it's not the brush or the brand. Quality matters, for sure. I've got a lot of clouds that'll be coming up here, so I guess I don't really need to do that much specific work right there, but it's just nice to get it going. Anything loses its radial, you just come back, see? Look at that. It's a very nice effect. These are subtle things, but they will play into the painting. You can see I just, where it's still wet, I can take a damp brush and sort of blend that out. I don't worry about not using oils because I can get these techniques. You can get these techniques. So do you see your little radial? That's going to be the sunburst coming out from behind the clouds. I think that's really good. I'm going to dry that, and then we'll go on to the next step. Let's call that a step because that's a complicated technique, right? And so this is that fan radial sunburst step.
Yeah, and it's important to get your surface thoroughly dried between the layers. That way when you're doing the next coat, it's not too sticky, it's not dragging on the brush, it's not bleeding through or picking up and changing the colors or the tint to the hue. So mostly in this case it helps so that it doesn't, like your whites on the underlayer don't get muddled, and the blues don't, blue and yellow don't bleed into the next colors and make them sort of grayed out. So there's a little dog running around over here. So, but thank you guys for coming and joining us. My gosh, there's a bunch of you guys with us today. Thank you so much for joining us. It's wonderful to see all y'all with us.
So there we are. John can get a picture of this, and then we're going to talk about clouds and how to overcome that self-criticism around clouds, how to actually master clouds, little tricks and ideas and things that might help you think about clouds differently. Because generally what stands between you and your perfect cloudy day is a few things working together. Your materials and your brushes, right? Just making sure you have the right materials, understanding the techniques, and then also the idea you have in your head of what a cloud is and what a cloud isn't visually. So we're going to definitely try to break down that last one a lot, and then we're going to explain the other two so that you guys have successful clouds. All right. Now, I'm going to use my little reference here just so I can kind of talk about this, but And I'm going to use this orange watercolor so you guys can see it. So let's say right here, right there is our little sun, right? And there's a bunch of things happening around it. But there's this cloud cover coming from over here. Maybe I can do it with my chalk. If I can do it with my chalk, it'll vanish more. So let's see if the chalk will work. When I think about clouds, if John can catch this. Now, I generally paint these shapes with my brush, but maybe if I draw them. Can you guys see these?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. See how it's just really wiggled in there. Areas that go up and come down. Right, and then we come out, we've got that. Now on this cloud, it has this interesting bottom that's uneven, right? It's pulled here. Clouds have perspective just as much as anything else in your painting. And it's good to think about the perspective of the clouds. There's another little area here that's sort of wonderful where the CloudBurst comes up, and we can actually make something better and is even in our photo reference. And I'm just going to keep changing so hopefully you can see what I'm doing.
Oh, yeah.
And then I'm going to be playing with that sort of bursting area. Coming like that. So you're wanting these little wiggly lines, these little spaces that are very strange. We do that with the brush. I do that in my mind. But you know, you're talking about, I need blank paper. It's okay. Let's see if I can
get you some blank paper.
Well, I can even say here, see, I exaggerate what's in the reference. Right? I'm exaggerating what's in the reference. You see it in the traceable. Look at the traceable sometimes if you're trying to understand how we can do better clouds. I don't have to, you know, be stuck either with what nature decides to mess with me. Right? I can have better. Look at that. I can have that much fun. That's where my mindset is around the clouds. And that's an important thing for you guys to be thinking of. Now, there's lots of brushes. Put this brush aside. And I'm going to get into one of my very favorites, which is my number 12 Silverstone Round. This is by company Silver Brush. It is all hog. All the hogs are brush dressed. It tends to be very fluffy and hot messy. It is not a detail brush. It is very nice. If you're doing my Art Sherpa cloud brushes, those are a dry brushing cloud brush. And you want to watch the videos I have on those for the types of clouds that those do. I was going to say, John, because I saw comments about this, we're going to do a Facebook video at some point coming up. We'll make sure we announce it and put it on the calendar on the website, just how to use the brushes, like Q&A about those brushes. Troubleshoot them if you bought them, so you can enjoy them because they're one of the best dry brushing scumble brushes on the market. But right now, we're doing this kind of cloud, so we want this kind of brush. I'm going to go ahead and get it wet. And what do we know about cloud brushes?
Now, there's a good question that came in while right before you do that, because it's exactly to do with what you're about to do.
All right.
So, I'm going to read the question to you. Kay says, I still don't understand how you seem to get very little paint on the brush, and yet it seems to last forever, when I end up using huge amounts of paint and make more waste and it's all transparent.
Yeah. Well, there's several things. And the first thing I'm going to ask is, I have a video, mistakes that beginners make, that talks about the water load to your brush. The other thing, once you get your water load correct and your brush load correct, when you correctly learn how to load a brush, is also the types of paints that you use can greatly impact that. And it's the dance between those things. The right amount of water, the paint loaded correctly into the belly, right, which we always talk about, and also the right kind of materials. Doesn't necessarily mean expensive, right? I recommend abstract acrylic paint for students. Doesn't have to be expensive. It just has to be right. So those are the things. So the first thing on this is we get this wet, and we definitely want to wipe out the extra water in this, right? I'm going to come over here. One of my very favorite mixes I'm going to do is a little bit of my purple and cad red. This is a wonderful sunset cloud red. And come here and you'll see me on the tip of my little brush here doing a very similar thing. The further over towards the right that I am, the darker blue or purple the mix will be. And we'll probably have to do some with that. As I move forward, I will move it more into the reds and oranges.
Yeah, can you say that again to me as you have it? Which side?
On the left-hand side.
Okay.
No, I do that.
So you meant...
I meant the left-hand side.
Okay.
Sometimes I get to painting and like my brain is in its little painting space and it just goes, what?
Left and right are not important factors here.
Right. So you can see me just sort of thinking about those little lines that I made. My pressure is very light. I'm on the toe of my brush. We're also going to do some cool lining techniques and everything that make this much more fun. Underneath the cloud, I'm adding more red now. Look at that. A little more red underneath it. A little more red underneath it. Move it forward. A little wiggly. This is just the beginning, guys, so you just want to be chill as you move towards the beginning of things. Notice that a lot of my canvas is showing through at this stage. That's because clouds are very light and they don't have hard edges. You know, and listen, if you're having paint loading issues, right, know that that's a very normal struggle for a beginner. It is normal to have to work on your paint loads. I come into my yellow a little bit. And there we go, we get the beginning of that. I'm gonna rinse that out. That's pretty cool. I'm gonna take some of my red over to my cad yellow. And come across here, making a little orange area. Right, where we start to think about the space being a little more yellow and orange. And you can see right away that it would have been hard to play, like do this over the blue. I'm going to wiggle this toe. I'm leaving open spaces. And I come up here, I may begin to even speak to some of that updraft that's happening. And we're going to break these clouds down into many layers. So you're not going to have to take in this whole very complicated sunset in one swoop. We're going to break it down. We did that with our other complicated pier sunset, and we're going to keep doing that. I'm pulling my yellow in, and I'm going to just continue to I need more white on it. I'll get more white on it. Pulling this over. Paint load is light. We're not doing a heavy paint load. And we want a nice clean paint load. Which means I don't want a lot of purple pigment in it. So you do have to be, you know, good about washing your brush out between the purple and red layer. I'm going to come here and also sort of wiggle this. Now, I'm going to dry out this brush with my towel. Yellow, pretty transparent. I have a minute to play with what I've got going on. You can come in here with more yellow. Towards the sun. Around the sun, things will run into the more yellow. So where do you go more yellow? Around the sun. Little brush back and forth. And let's call that a stage, because that's a lot to take in. A lot happened there, didn't it? We got a lot started. Let's rinse out our brush, very, very clear. And we're going to put in our next layer of clouds. Let's call this a step. Step 5! We're going to have a lot of steps, but that's okay, because you guys can paint anything if you break it down into digestible parts. I think one of the big things that I've learned being online and being on YouTube and teaching beginners for so long is my expectation of what could be taught remotely to new painters over the years has greatly changed. What I used to believe that beginners can do, I mean, I now know you guys can do amazing stuff as long as it's explained to you. And as long as it's broken down, you can absolutely exceed all expectations. So take a deep breath. Wonderful, beautiful day. We have a really great little cloud form happening right here. I'm going to even get into maybe some of my magenta. Still the same brush, number 12, Silverstone. And get some white into this mix. So this is the quinacridone magenta. I had a little cad yellow over here, a little cad red. I'm making kind of a surprising burst. I want this peachy color to almost be in the yellows, and we're going to wiggle this very lightly. Lots of canvas showing through on the toe of the brush. Into my Naples yellow. That's actually working really well. I love that color. It does some very specific stuff for me. I can bring this out this way, play with it a bit. See how I'm pushing the toe? So I can take things beyond what their intent was. Let's paint something beautiful today. Let's paint something that shocks our Facebook friends for good reasons. Right? Let's create some Facebook drama that's just about that you're so talented and they had no idea that you were so amazing. That little wandering of cloud. And you'll be like, yeah, you know, I always kind of knew it was in me. You don't got to tell them it was with me. I mean, it's great. It does help the channel. But I mean, hey, if you want to have a moment, be like, no, it's always been me. I don't mind. It's okay. It can be our secret. It's all right. I don't want to take out all my CloudBurst, but you can see how it has become really rather wonderful right now, yeah? Let's just wander some of this out this way. I love when the peach gets in on it. Oh, on that toe. Little wanders. This is a messy brush, and look how I use my messy brush to my messy, messy advantage. That's what I do.
This is one of those paintings where even if you were using a more student grade paint that was transparent,
it would work out for you a little bit.
So if you find yourself using those budget paints, this might be a painting that you may have more success with than you think.
Starting to get those brilliant what? Yep, those brilliant what? I know. Those what moments. You got to have some what moments in your life. I love playing with the quins and the cad yellows. The cad reds, the way they dance. Throw in that Naples yellow light, which is a nickel tight knit yellow. Remember, if you're having trouble finding that color, it is because it is a color that has many different names. And sometimes the different names mean a whole different color of paint. So you want to read my blog so you don't have that annoying moment. You don't want that. You don't. Or maybe I get a little more yellow out here coming on. I see little bits of CloudBurst out here that are more in that yellow, right? Paint this sky. Look at that. And then step back every once in a while and look. Take it in. How you doing? How you doing? Because you've got to get these little, you've got to get the light area up here kind of going. Because we're going to be putting some dark, shocking bits. We need to have some glow that these shocking dark clouds are layered on. At sunset, you have some very dark clouds. Sometimes at night, you have some very dark clouds. It feels counterintuitive if you haven't painted a lot of skies. You haven't painted a lot of ocean scenes. If this is at all challenging to you, then I say join me for Acrylic April.
Ooh, what's Acrylic April?
Acrylic April was a program I created in 2019 to help artists break through creative blocks and to help beginners accelerate their improvement scale. Because the number one thing that helps you become a better painter is to paint. And when you do a daily painting, you break down blocks like left and right. It just, your brain is just like, man.
What you doing there? Show me what you're doing.
I'm misting my stuff because my paper's up, curling up. I didn't get it wet enough before the show.
You were using a micro mister?
Yeah, and I have too much now. Wasn't necessarily something I wanted shown.
Oh, well, people were always asking about your, like...
I know, it's just this one I didn't soak. So what happened is I didn't boil the paper. Now I'm getting my pad wet. I'm having a whole moment here.
That's okay.
Let's film it.
But well, it's good because they were actually asking about this thing live earlier. Like, about how many of those pieces of paper do you get per use?
You know, you get 30 in a pack. And it works really, really well if you get the paper set correctly right away. What I did here was I didn't get my sponge wet enough, and I didn't soak the paper enough. So that's what I'm doing now, is making sure that the sponge is wet enough to keep the paper wet. Because what you don't want is that if the paper doesn't dry out, I can actually not only just use up all the paint that's on my palette, I can rinse the sheet and reuse it like a lot of times until I let the paint dry on it, until I forget about it and allow the paint to skin on it and dry on it completely. I can use it again and again and again.
See, there are no mistakes. There's only the Sherpa making us smile.
No, that went really weird. What you couldn't see is I kept spraying the iPad.
Oh, I know. I saw.
It's just like,
all right.
I could not stop spraying the iPad. And then I'm picking up the extra water because I don't want the palette to be too wet for my brush when I'm trying to load it. All right, let's keep painting. Just keep painting. You just got to keep painting.
That's all right.
I'm going to continue to go. I've gotten a little more of my Naples yellow and Cad yellow on here. I love the mix of these two. I love these two yellows independently. Toe with a brush, toe with a brush. Look. It's not a precision instrument. This is definitely a blunt tool.
But you can get interesting effects with it.
I do get interesting effects with it. And I have a little collection of brushes that I keep around in my life because they do these things for me. And I love them for it. And then you notice as you like layer the yellows how, wow. It gets so good, doesn't it? And come down, maybe get a little of the Cad Red into this again. Look, Cad Red. Push this Make the sky even better than nature intended. That's what we're doing. Making the sky even better than nature intended. That's the artist's job. Right? Used to be to keep a record of nature, but, you know, photographers do that now, so. We'll leave that to the travel bloggers, and we will make a sky that inspires. So this sort of a orange low area. See that going? That's the cad red and the cad yellow. And this is the architecture under which we are going to be basing our painting on. As we come nearer the sun, we take that orange more into the yellows. It's still there, but it's closer to that, so it's got to be more of that. Just like this here has got to be more of that. Now, the rest of the finishing work that we're going to do here, we really need this to be dry so we can do another layer on top of it. I'm going to dry it and then hand it to John.
Okay.
You guys doing okay? Are you learning how to do the sky? Wait till we get to the foam. Very similar technique.
All right.
If you could get this, you've got the foam.
So, hey guys, thanks everybody for joining in. Hey Patty, thank you guys to everybody who's been supporting us here in the channel. All of our members of Emoji Club that are putting up the fun emojis and hanging out with us. We really love seeing you guys. We're trying to catch as many questions as I can as they float by here. This is a pretty, you know, intense class to try to get in the short time we do. So I'm working the questions in as we can as we go along. So there'll be more of that as we go. I think we're going to catch another step here. And
Nerm.
Is this
Still
where we are?
right here. This is where we are. Okay.
This is where we are.
Where are we at?
We're at step 6.
6. Now the sky. We still have a whole painting to do, but we're about to go on the downhill slope of the sky. The next marks and values that we make will be about creating the shadows and the bigger drama colors in the sky. We're really going to be working with our darks, purples, and our cadmium reds. And then we're going to finish by placing in our sun and doing some silver lining to the clouds, which is going to make it just so stunning. And you're going to love it. But first, let's get that drama in there. But first, change your water.
Change your water.
Change your water. Right? You want to keep your water clean when you're painting skies.
And that's a lot about it. Why your swirls get your brush so clean is because you use clean water.
Yeah, I have to keep my brush clean, and I have to keep the water clean because I want my pigments to not be tinted or toned by what's here.
It can.
So I'm gonna, yeah. Now, interestingly enough, I'm going to come in. I'm going to change where I get my purples from, and I'm going to come over here and I'm going to get my ultramarine and my quinacridone. Quinacridone and ultramarine make a very good purple, and you can really control when you use the two of them with each other if your purple is biasing blue or red. As we move forward, we'll get back into our darks and cad red mix, but this just helps us find that blue that's in parts of the clouds that we don't want to lose. We've got to have the dark. Sometimes I'll even add a little white so you can really see it. It's weird, but it works. There we go. See that there?
Mm-hmm.
Now these will be dramatic against each other. Super dramatic because they are contrasting colors. And whenever you've got that kind of going on, oops, too much white.
Do you put any soap in your water?
I do not put additives like soap or glycerin or any of that into my paints or water. Here's why. Glycerin is a very cool art tool, but your paint is formulated to not foam. Acrylic wants to foam.
Mm-hmm.
And when you start adding glycerin or soap, you undermine the anti-surfactants and sulfactants that are in the paint that are preventing it from doing a lot of strange things. And so I looked at it cost analysis wise, and I realized just getting a good medium to do what I would use the glycerin or soap for is cheaper. So I use acrylic glazing liquid gloss. It slows down the drying time of my paint. It improves the blendability. It lets me glaze, and it doesn't void the warranty of my paint. That's me. That is, how I kind of proceed with that. And we're just kind of adding some of those like little dramas. I mean, you could get into other dramatic moments, but why? Right?
The sky is so dramatic on its own.
It's a drama sky. And it's a drama sky that doesn't make me yell at the TV, which is fantastic. We all need that in our lives. Just a little kiss of this different type of purple. And you can kind of see how the ultramarine and Quinn is very different in its nature from the Cad Red. It's a layer of what? That's just wonderful. It doesn't mean that we won't be back here. And I'm going to get a little bit of my Doc's purple into my Cad Red. And begin to find some elements under this cloud. I don't want to take out everything that I painted before, but I definitely want to have my drama happening now. Moving forward, I'll go more into the reds. I can come in and be like, ooh. Isn't it extraordinary?
Mm-hmm.
Better than nature. Not to start nothing with nature. I love nature. Nature and I are good. I'm going to add a little yellow into it. Sorry, babe.
Oh, no, it's okay.
I'm getting a little yellow. So sometimes as I move closer to the sun, you add some red and yellow into that mix to warm those colors and drama them out. I just wiped off on my towel. This is that part of the sky where we start to really create those special, special moments. Those magic moments. All right, a little bit of the purple and red. Let's come here and speak to it.
Speak to it.
Quite dark, isn't it? Take some bravery. You've got to just kind of be like, I can do it. Painting like this takes a minute. Doable though. Notice that I leave a lot of open spots, that the shapes are irregular, that I'm trying to not make little cotton balls. Use the reference as a guide, but it should never be more important than your own artistic instincts. You have to trust your artist instincts. Sometimes I'll get a little Quinn into it. Oh yeah, it's just, what? I'll come over here. Oh. Add a little Quinn into that mix. Kind of a crazy little bit. And we're going to speak a bit about these little clouds over here. Maybe have a little updraft happening. They're kind of illustrating why there might be radial sun in different parts. Step back when you need. Oh, yes! Oh, I love skies like this. Oh, I love skies like this on a Saturday. Now, today it's a long class, so we're going to break at one point for a few, just to let the dogs out and for me to get another cup of coffee, for you guys to stretch. It's important to remember that when you do longer painting sessions like this is the Quinn mix here that I'm playing with. Isn't that fun? Get a little yellow into that. It's so weird, but so wonderful. So here, yeah, they are darker clouds, and there's little puffs of them, right? But they go more into the orange, don't they? I don't want to take out any of the details of what I worked in. I just want to make sure that I'm good. Now it's a good time to rinse out. I take this right here and like, what if I went into the magenta and a little bit of that Naples yellow? That's quite a color, isn't it? It's going to be really quite a color here. Get a little white on it, just to lighten its little value. It's not an everywhere thing. It's a somewhere thing. Some things are somewhere, not everywhere. And you got to think about, where's my somewhere color?
Wow.
This will focus a little more in the center. It's super fun. Sky like this, all day fun. It really is. Just all day. There's still some more drama that we can get going, so I'll take a little bit of my red. And let's not shy away from that. The mauve, just the fantastic color you can find and play with. It's yours, you know. As I move out, it'll go more into the red, but it's still quite bright. And that brightness against the colors that we had grayed also helps inform what is our sky. Also helps inform it. We'll touch it. Heading out up into the atmosphere. Play up and down. Wonderful, terrific, it's great. I think I'll do the white lining as its own step. That way you guys know where you're at in your follow along. As soon as we get the white lining in, we will have skied. What a sunset, right? What a sunset. What a sunset. It's just spectacular. And again, complicated in its totality, doable if you break it down into its concepts. You know, thinking about the sky in different terms, the irregular shapes that you see there, the values, the deep, dark shadows that are in a sky that's not stormy and not aggressive, right? Sometimes we think of these colors and these elements when we are thinking of a stormy sky. I'm going to get a round brush just to do this here. There you go. That's, you know, the sun. It's not big, right? And that's the important thing to realize, is it's not big. And the next really important thing to think about, and I'm going to put out some fluid paint for this, and I'm going to get my #1 monogram liner. This is a thing that I like to do very, very, very much. Just right on there. And I'm going to find some of these clouds, not all of them, but some pieces of them, and I'm going to give them a silver lining, as they say. Silver lining implies a really kind of wonderful type of atmospheric effect.
Sort of a backlit cloud.
Yeah, and it also emotionally, I think, evokes optimism and hope. I feel like always worth kind of speaking to, even if what you're working on maybe doesn't intrinsically have them. Right? When you're looking at those big awe skies, right? The ones that we think we can't do with acrylic paint, but we totally can. And I might, you know, focus that centrally because that's where it would be more present. You know, you might even have here. Isn't that wonderful? And that kind of gets your attention on the sun. Here comes the sun. Here comes the sun, and it. All right. I am not Nina Simone. Which of us really is? I think only Nina is Nina, and that is okay. I can be inspired and enjoy her.
Folks are loving your hair today.
Thank you.
You're inspiring lots of optimism.
We have to have optimism, right? Right now, there's not a lot of optimism in the world. And
well, it's there. It's just under some rocks.
It's under some rocks, and we got to lift those rocks and find our own optimism in the day, right?
It's just, you know.
But when we take that time to find our silver lining,
it's there.
It's there, and it's necessary. All right, you guys ready for the tape?
Hold on. Let me go down here. I'll trace the tape. Oh.
Okay. Now, I'm not going to get rid of this because I'm going to use it in my sky above. And we're about to do the sand. You want to do a little break and we'll make some fresh coffee and then we'll start the sand?
Let's see here.
And the water.
How many ways can I break?
I don't know how many ways that you can break. But now, pick one and I'm going to go make coffee.
All right. So what I'm going to do.
Hi, guys. You can do it. You can do it. You can do it. You can do it. You've got it. I know you can do it. If you need a break right now, good time to stand up and stretch. If you'd like to see our shameless self-promotion, we might have that. We might have a pee video. Hard to say.
No, I got some shameless self. I'll let you run off.
Oh, do we have shameless self-promotion?
We do.
Oh, is this the big announcement where they get to see the thing for the first time? As the patrons have already seen this, but the rest of you guys, just so that I can tease you to come on in and join me every day in Acrylic April.
And,
John,
and I'll
go.
see, I'll put some music on for you guys.
Okay.
So here you guys go. So while she's over there getting some coffee going, I'll let you know we're going to be right back. You know, we wanted to leave you with a little something here that you could see and enjoy. This is the Acrylic April upcoming calendar. You guys may have seen it for the first time here. We generally don't go away for too long. This is probably going to be about a 3-minute or so break while we run over there and grab some coffee. But I will definitely leave you, I think if I can get it to play, with some, oh, I think there's some Ryan O'Neal there. There's our intro song. So we'll leave you guys with that. That's the party song. We'll be right back.
It's a lot of fun, believe me. Just join me right here, we'll make it a day. We're having a party, why don't you come with me? A straight from the heart party, yes, everybody let it be.
All right. There we go. Well, I'm back, but I think Cinnamon's still over there. I'm going to go get her. There she is. There
So
she
hopefully it was exciting to see what we're going to be doing this year in Acrylic April 2021. The event begins April 1st. This is no joke, which is why that's hashtag for us. And we're going to be painting every single day. You saw the calendar. That's what we do. We get together and we paint, and we get together and we paint. Now, of course, you could just do your favorites from that month. But I highly encourage you to come be part of the whole program and to take part of the whole things. Watch tips for a daily painting. Watch how to make a color chart. Watch the split primary color chart about Acrylic April. We'll have more announcement stuff and more information about that. The materials are up so you can know what to buy. It's really the colors that we're using right now. That's the Acrylic April color list, always has been, and 8x8 canvases. So if you've got that hooked up, you're ready. This is your year. We need it, right? All right, so here we're going to go on. Have we already done the step? My coffee, which is now hot, and my sunset's perfect. I'm going to sip my wonderful coffee.
All right. Oh, there goes my mic. Okay.
I'm pretty happy with that. Are you guys happy with yours? Feeling yours? Feel good? All right. Now I'm going to take that tape.
Are we calling this, we're good here. Are we calling a new step, or are we going to go on from here?
This is going to be a whole new thing because we're going to be doing the sand.
Okay, so we should, I'm not sure.
I'll let everybody tell you. Ooh, that's a nice sound. I feel like the beach right now. Making sure my horizon line is good. A nice edge here. We're going to work on our sand. Have we taken a picture?
I think
Let's just take a picture just in
we
case.
can just take a picture just in case.
Picture that when we took a picture, I guess, and I can woo, let's take that picture, and then I will retape up. So for the next part, what we're going to do is we're going to go in and we're going to put in our sand. Our sand is a fairly deep value. It is got a little bit of shading to it, but a lot of it is about its texture, and it's sort of almost visual noise, like pixelation. Then we're going to start working into the back of our ocean, and then we're going to do our seafoam. And I'm going to show you how to make this perfect seafoam moment for real.
And we'll go ahead and put up a step here. That way we can delineate between that break and let
Yeah.
folks know that this is where we've come back from.
Is that what we're on? Is that
Yeah.
what the team said? Okay, cool.
Well, I do know what step we're on. I just wasn't sure if we were going to put one up here or not.
Yes, this is new.
This is a good place to put one up.
Yeah, it's a good time to put your tape back up over your ocean so that you know that you've got that. You want to make sure that, and the trick to it is you want to make sure that you are above the lines so that your ocean butts into your sky kind of perfectly. That's what I'm trying to get. We'll hopefully do a good job. But let's paint some sea, some sand.
Oh, sand.
All right, let's paint some sand. Now, sand is generally kind of like a pixelation of a lot of different neutral colors. If it's wet, it's darker. If it's dry, it's lighter. This sand is all wet. And this sand even has kind of an orange value to it. So let's start with maybe a little bit of an orange and get our burnt sienna into that. We've got to start painting it out, and I'm going to just brush out just a little bit of color, kind of adding to what you see there of the streaky color we did earlier, right? So that's a little orange into our burnt sienna. Getting some layers going. Now, a lot of ways that you can do sand. You can do like a really sort of defined sand where you flick paint to get lots of particulates. You can sponge, you can do all that. But I feel like it's probably better to just capture some of the value that we expect to see in our sand and not so much try to paint every grain. So instead I'm going to come on the toe of my brush and make sure that the value of my sand, how light or dark it is, looks really good. The hue, that's the color it is, looks really good. And not as much paint every single grain, because I want the focus of my painting, right, to be the seafoam. That doesn't mean that I'm not kind of making a diffused beach. In other words, I'm kind of doing brush strokes that are short, and I'm breaking up the visual line and making it soft. That's how I'm choosing to express it. A lot of solutions for sand. You will find as you paint that you have a favorite. The sand is sometimes more orange or more yellow or darker. Maybe you have more of the Naples yellow light in it sometimes for some, see some off neutral value there. A little. Now there will be, coming down under that sun, right, an overall run of light. You can exaggerate that Yeah, I'm adding a little more yellow here. I'm going to exaggerate that bright area where the sunlight comes down that ocean and hits everything. Like a little corridor. I like the corridor. Sometimes I can get a little, boop, boop, a little black. On the toe of my brush, very lightly. I might bring it back even a bit over my foam line, or making the shadow of the foam. So tempting to just paint white when we're painting seafoam and to forget all the shading and all the things that really give it form. Make it feel real. That is the black and brown on our palette, the burnt sienna and black. Like the clouds, as you leave the corridor of light, the outer shadows might get darker. If I need to blend here, I can very easily go back with my brown. I'm softening that. So what could be overdone or underdone ends up being in our Goldilocks zone, which is just right. That's what we're always looking for in our paintings, our Goldilocks zone. You know, where do we have the lighting and the value just right? Where do we have the texture and the amount of color just right? Sometimes we exaggerate to find our zone, to express what we see. And again, a little bit past. And that's because we don't want to have too hard of a line. We're not trying to just make a straight line. We'll have one deep shadow line in there, but we need to have a diffused part of it happening too. I'm just wiggling that out. I need to get my Naples yellow into it to diffuse it. You can. And you can see even the canvas almost helps create that sense of sandy beach. Snapping back.
Mmm.
Oh, you gotta love it.
It really does look good.
Now, also coming back, believe it or not, we're not done with the sand. Feels like we would be. But you're not. We're going to be coming back in a minute with foam. And that foam will have the sand underneath showing through in little holes. Now I'm scumbling this back. Notice that scumbling is a type of technique with the brush, right?
Yeah.
A little hard on bristles. It's another reason I like to do this with hog. But it's another way of diffusing light or line. But a very important part of our beach looking beachy is this. How would you know that as a beginner just right off the bat?
I do not know.
You wouldn't. You'd have no idea. No idea what layers, what depths would be required to make your seafoam look like seafoam. Luckily, we are not in a hard light day. If we were in a hard light day and the water were any clearer, you'd have to cast a shadow from a seafoam on the beach and the sand underneath it. So it's nice that this light is low and diffused because all we have to do for that is reveal that there's sand. Notice that it's I do it slightly different in the value, right? A little more yellow right here because corridor light. Painting. Objectively painting things that are kind of like what they look like, even when they're painterly, but if you're making an effort to kind of represent what they look like, it takes patience. It does. It takes a little patience. It takes a little slowing down. I'll make a slightly darker color. You'll notice that I'm being very careful with my black. Black is like a chili pepper. It's like a ghost pepper. I am making these outer areas of sand that will be peeking through just a bit darker. You guys cotton into that?
Oh, yeah.
Seeing it? You taking it in?
We are indeed.
Soon we'll be able to hear the gulls and the waves, and we will be struck by the calm that our beach gives us. Soon, our beach will be able to take us away from the things that are maybe, concerning right now. A little bit darker on the outside. Notice how dry this brush is, though. How little water. And how scumbly it takes to almost rouge the canvas.
Oh, yeah.
I'm roughing it up. Just a minute. Canvas says what? Okay. There you go. Your beach maybe has white sands. Maybe your beach has pink sands. Notice I got a little bit of dark on there, but that's okay the way I blend it out. And I use the roughness of the canvas. Whew! Goodness gracious, that was a lot of scumbly scumbles.
That was some aggressive scumble.
That was some aggressive scumble. But now we have wet sand.
The beach
At
has
the beach.
happened.
I think we have a beach.
Yeah?
And I'm happy with it.
Yeah?
So we're going to call it a step, and I'm going to sip my coffee, and hopefully I don't need to heat it again.
Okay.
How are you guys doing? Breathing in, breathing out. Now it's just water. Now you just got to go with the flow. And we're going to paint some distant water. We're almost going to be at the shore as we paint these faraway waves. This is the far horizon, which we know is round because ships disappear over it. Just on John's Earth is not flat kick. Round. Somewhere someone angrily unsubscribed and is preparing a furious treatise at me about how flat the Earth actually is. And that's okay. You do you.
It's okay.
I mean, since it's round, you'll be okay.
It's only been accepted widely by the scientific community for say 3,000 or so years.
That's okay.
Facts.
Facts.
So what do you think? Is this a Hoff-worthy beach?
Really? You think?
I think you could see some Hasselhoff cruising across
I don't know,
this
man. I
beach.
have been watching a lot of Baywatch because it's on that weird default setting on my thing. Oh my gosh, WandaVision. WandaVision.
We're gonna have to step them again, so they know because you're gonna tangent, aren't you? I can feel it. No.
Did you have the step? You did the step, so now we're there. Let's paint some distant, far away. Let's paint things that are far away. Where did I put the lovely big brush? There it is. We'll get back into this lovely big brush that I had from a bit ago. Back here.
Back there.
I'm going to take a little bit of my phthalo green and my ultramarine blue. So when I'm painting deep, far away, or cooler water, I really like those two as a color combo because they go a little more teal. That's where your teal comes from, is your ultramarine and your phthalo blue. If you're trying to get into your teals, I need it even darker than this, though. Crazy mix. Add purple. Look at it. What? It's almost like indigo now. So phthalo green, ultramarine blue, and diox makes an almost indigo color.
Beth is so impressed with this brush. She's like, I'm getting one now.
This one right here? Oh, this is a lovely brush. Which one?
Silverstone Round was one.
Oh, yeah, no.
She was like, that one. She was like, yes, I'm getting that now.
It's one of those things where you're just like, man, it's a good brush.
You got to get one in your jar. Although there's, a big round brush is probably what you need.
Well, it's a big round hog is what you're looking for. And the other word you're looking for is best dressed hog. You want them interlaced and you want them best dressed. And you want a really good quality brush on that one.
I only say that.
And understand, hog wears out. So a good bristle brush will disappear as you paint with it more. I have brushes that are like down to nubs now. Keep it. Even the nubs have purpose. Even the nubs have purpose.
And with
Now,
folks,
as we go forward, though, we get a little more into our green, even more than, say, our phthalo blue. Look how I'm going more green there. What? I know, it's so nice. But it's still an oceanic color.
it's, dare I say, aqua bro green.
Aqua bro? What? Are you giving me some DC trouble now? Is that what we're doing?
Oh, they trouble themselves enough.
They don't trouble themselves. It's you. You're the problem. Just know that you are. I'm going to move this. I want it at a different tilt.
Okay.
My references, your references, our references are at a different tilt. I'm going to take a little of this crazy yellow over here. My naple's going to start to dust, 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 dust. Brush, brush, brush. We have so many weird things that we've got to do
Do we?
with the color. Yeah, because there's a bunch of, believe it or not, orange that reflects across the water.
I believe it.
And that is going to be its own trick to get into. I'm going to take a little of my yellow over here. This sort of speaks to that high green that we see. Little dashes of it.
Oh, it's so nice.
And we'll have to dry so we can get any other thoughtful color even involved. But I just want to have some of this here. And I'm sort of dashing it out randomly because I'll define the space and the waves with shadows. But I just know I need to have a little of that high green, which will also pull beautifully against the orange. But it's predominantly on the left-hand side. And I'm sure I mean left. As much trouble as I had with that earlier, I'm sure I mean left. So see, I've kind of got a little bit of a high green happening here. Oh, that's beautiful.
It is.
Right along here, just a little bit more high green. Notice that it's okay because I get it into that weird little orange that's sort of offset. It's so weird.
Is it?
Yeah, closer to the sun. Gonna have to shade, but right now we're just doing that. Outwards, it goes darker. We don't want those downward strokes, so I'm going to smooth that out. I don't want strokes that go. If I do an angled stroke, it needs to be for a wave, but not for the overall directionality of the water.
Wait, say that again?
If I do an angled stroke, it needs to be to talk about a wave, but not for the overall flow or positioning of the water.
Okay.
I have to dry.
Okay, you dry. I'm going to think about that.
You're going to think about that?
Yeah.
So basically, a wave might come in at an angle. I'll do that at an angle, but most of my distant strokes that are far away, I will keep horizontal.
So you got to keep it level in your brain. So, you want to add some implied motion to the water in the foreground, but you don't want to make people think the water's falling off the edge of the canvas. So you got to keep most of it kind of level-ish and horizontal-ish. Otherwise, it looks tilty-ish, and you're sliding off the surface. So, yeah, that's what she's talking about. Just took me a minute to understand. She's got some gesture into the strokes to imply motion in the waves. See, I've been watching with you guys. I know some words.
Some words?
Some words.
Some words?
Like gesture.
Gesture.
And motion.
Motion.
And
the motion of the ocean
is implied in the gesture of your brushstrokes. So
my advice for this particular palette is boil the paper. I boil my paper. And then I don't have, this one I was testing an overnight soak on it. And I did soak it overnight. It did come out wet. In really dry conditions, it's not holding as well as when I boil it.
I feel like that's
but
a bit of a...
it's okay because I can, as long as I don't let the paint dry and seal on it, I can rinse it all out after I use up all the paint. And then I can then boil it then and it'll still be fine.
Seems like a Monty Python response to something.
Maybe, perhaps.
What do you do with your wet palette?
I'm going to get my big Silverstone brush. This is my big brush. I'm going to get my big brush. And take a little bit of my phthalo blue, phthalo green, all my colors. And I'm going to come, oh gosh, right about here. And talk about a little bit of a, oh, maybe you need some dots in there to be dark enough. Oh yeah, that's what you need. There we go.
Oop.
There we go. That's the start of a little wave that was thinking about some stuff. It said, I might do a thing, but I'm not sure I want to do a thing. And there's this little wave. Coming over from the left. It had a moment. Interestingly enough, had a little bit of a friend here. This is all about the positioning of the ground underneath the ocean. Waves is about what you can't see. It's about wind and it's about floor.
So there were several questions in here about making versus buying some supplies. And in general, folks, I'm going to ask you, do you want to be a crafter of supplies or a painter?
Well, and it depends. Like, making can be fun, but there's certainly, you've got to realize that there's a learning fail rate.
So, if you want to learn
I used to like stretching canvas.
Yeah.
But I buy my canvas now. But I like stretching it, and I'm not sorry I learned how to do it.
Yep, no. And oftentimes I find that you spend as much money in the experimentation of learning how to do something as you do in just buying the really good version.
Right. But I think on stuff like strip framing, which is what you do for like art shows and stuff, I don't know. It's probably better to do your own.
You got to learn that skill. That's definitely one of those, but you shouldn't expect to strip frame the first time perfectly. It's a skill.
So these first ones, right? I'm just kind of speaking to these first. We're doing some of these little dark marks. They're dark, they're marks.
And it's
These are the more noticeable ones that you can have in your ocean. Obviously, there's a myriad of small ones. I would say it's probably more important to capture the bigger, more essency ones in every single little one. And then also once you start putting in the orange, it gets to be kind of a thing. Let's talk about the orange here. Rinse out real well. It's time to get clean water, and it's almost time for John to get me new clean water. Microwave my coffee.
Yeah?
Woo! But we got to do
that.
orange.
I can do that.
So we've got these little waves. These little waves. We've got the little green. I have a question, John, on the step.
Okay.
Were the waves the new step, or did it start with the green in the back ocean? Because if it was his own step, I want to put the orange in on its own step. But I don't want to micro step.
It's okay. We can step away.
Can we? Let's micro step here because this has to be in. You want to capture this. You want to capture all this stuff. You want to get these waves kind of in. I want you a chance to look at these waves, especially in the step-by-step book where you can see what I did, just in case visually it's not coming together for you like necessarily easily. And understand sometimes visually stuff doesn't. Sometimes your brain's like, I'm not really sure what you want me to do here, and it just needs a minute and it needs it broken down. So just in case that's it, I'd rather have it be a step, and then we come in and put in the big splashy orange, And that way you're not overwhelmed in those in-between spaces, because they can get a little overwhelming. Whenever we're doing a painting, whenever we're doing a project, big cake, making our own art supplies, there is this sort of chasm of despair when you're on your way to your Goldilocks zone, right? Where in the chasm, it is made up of what you don't know yet. And you can't, and what you don't know that you don't know, because you don't know it yet. You cannot know what you don't know. So the chasm is somewhat invisible, and it's about figuring out that zone where things start to work, and that's experimentation, which means you kind of have to embrace failure, which at some point in art, you start to just really be okay with. In the beginning, it's so hard because our whole lives, people started saying, you know, you're good enough, you're worthy enough, this is this is, you're passing, you got the concept where they're telling you you're now officially good enough, you've hit their metric, right? But in art, it's not like that. In art, we do different things entirely. So it's really important that you accept that somewhere along this journey, you're going to not feel the sting of failure. Instead, failure will just be information that helps you get to your goal, right? So that's my wig failure speech, which is weird. Monologuing like a villain. All right, let's do some oranging.
Okay.
I'm going to take a little of my Cad Red over to my Cad Yellow over here. It's okay if it picks up some of the green from the ocean earlier. And we're going to begin speaking to Under the Sun. Now, I don't want to take it all. I still want that a little bit of a dark line of blue. Oops. I don't want to lose my little waves that I'm implying. We're going to be at this a second. I may put out some more yellow. So I'm not struggling to find my yellow. Even though I'm struggling to get this page and not to curl. Stop curling. Boil it. Do yellow. Definitely want this is definitely in the orange. So what it is that water is a mirror. And that mirror reflects what's in the sky. And sometimes on a day where there's wind and where there's waves, it's still glassy enough to reflect the sky, but choppy enough for you to see the aquatic nature of the ocean.
Yeah.
You get this kind of contrasted deep blues and extraordinary oranges, and it is a magical moment. So you got to get it in. And you can. You can handle it. And we'll just wiggle. Can you see how I'm just like on the tone and wiggling?
Oh, yeah. I'm going to come in a little closer.
Let it skip. I can always come back and put dark. Coming forward from this wave, you will see me definitely play with the skip and the motion of it as well.
That ocean motion, it's oh so important.
Motion of
It's
the
like
ocean.
you're magically painting the surface of the water and it just appears with that orange.
It really does. And, you know, if you've got to get over here and you have a little orange, but it's going dark because it's, you know, maybe a little more on the green, that's okay. Look at us go. Now, I know we're going to be coming back with some more of the dark, but we can handle it.
Mm-hmm.
on the toe of my little brush. It's so weird when a brush is as fluffy as this one, and yet sometimes I feel like I have detail control playing this. I know I can hear it, feel it, smell it, see air. Stand back and look at the flow.
Wow.
Now it's starting to reflect, isn't it?
That's just something crazy.
Yeah,
awesome.
take that, all of YouTube. Girlfriend can do a sea painting and teach it to all her students, and that's the metric. It's when you guys put this online on Instagram and you're like, yeah, I did it. That's when I'm like, yeah,
Cinnamon loves when you guys do this. It's when there are 3, 5, 1,000 awesome paintings up in our Facebook group. By the way, you should join the Facebook group.
Great
See
place
all the
to
awesome stuff.
see your tutorials.
Join our
I'm in
website.
there checking to see how I'm doing.
There's all sorts of cool stuff on the website for you to know about, including our store, Shameless Self-Promotion.
Shameless self-promotion.
You
Shameless
can
self-promotion.
buy my t-shirts
Yeah. And other
books
things.
and soap and candles and
Other things.
other things that we make in our studio for you. Okay.
Now, as we come here, like on this wave here, there's some energetic things that will happen. There is a perspective that is not as obvious as if it were linear, but it is happening. So I've got to kind of think about it. Get even a little bit into my magenta as I come here to the center, because the wave weirdly casts a shadow.
It really, yeah, because the sun's behind it.
Yeah. That's how I paint that shadow in the red, is I add a little magenta to it. There. It happens.
Because of color shift.
Color shift is my friend. Color shift is my friend.
Prismatics, atmospheric effects of redshift at,
Redshift at dawn
or dusk.
or dusk. This is probably
Surfaces.
dusk. Given the vibrancy of this is probably dusk. A lot
Atmosphere.
more dirt in the air in dusk, I guess.
I think I read somewhere what's the difference between the light condition right
I think we
before dusk
actually
and
did
dawn.
Research for Big Art Quest when we did sunsets.
Yeah, I seem to remember
I
that.
think we did something where we're like, why is it like this?
Yeah, there's like,
So, you'll see me come back and look, and that's because you've got to get out of there and you got to look. You got to, man. You've got to.
now, I will say if you're doing these, it is definitely worthwhile to complete your ocean paintings.
Yeah.
There are so many different things that you can get tripped up on and be tempted to just walk away from it, not complete
Don't
the
do
project.
it.
Gotta finish it. The more of these you complete from start to finish, the better you're going to be.
That's one of the reasons why we like Acrylic April.
It really helps you complete the project, because completing it, you get a lot of learning in that process. So don't be afraid to finish it, to bring it all the way through and be like, this is my first painting or my second painting, because you're only going to have a first beach painting a first time, and that's okay. So after you've painted 100 of them, it'll be like old hat. But
Yeah, you'd be like me. Singing in your head. Everybody was a beginner.
and it's an
Everybody.
important time.
Very important time. Honor being a beginner. You're the most open right now. You'll take the most risks. You'll try more new things. Oh my goodness, artists, they get so set in their ways.
You can't mix phthalo blue with quinacridone magenta.
You get these feelings and these ideas and these concepts and beliefs that you travel with, and then they mess you up, and you're like, man,
Art baggage.
art baggage. You get some art baggage that's like, what? You don't need all that art baggage. You don't need it. But you'll have it. That was my Quinn and my
Oh.
sometimes with paint we play. I wanted to play a little bit with it. What it was doing there. See what that is.
See it.
Just a little drama, unexpected. What? I like to give them unexpected. What?
You did.
I do. It's always so funny when artists see your stuff and they're like, dude, she can paint. It's like, well, I hope so.
That pink hair just throws you off.
It does, man. You just don't know what's going on. It's so easy. Not know what's happening. Ah, really gorgeous. Rinse out. Rinse out. Rinse out. Rinse out. Rinse out. Now you're gonna get into the yellow. And you're
Chanda's
gonna
son.
touch a little bit of light going down.
Ooh, I'm going to catch that. But Chanda's son just saw a parrot in your palette.
There's a parrot in my palette. Oh, I see it. It's right there.
Yep.
This one I see. Now, I'm gonna come back with my foam and stuff, and we're just remembering what are we doing here? What are we doing here? What are we doing here? You think we're done?
Oh, yeah.
You would think it, but we're not. We just have a lot to do, and that's okay.
That's okay.
Sometimes, my friends, paintings are they're big business, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you gotta take that time to get it right. To get it right, child. Get it right, child. Got mama sit on you. Sorry.
It's okay.
I've been informed that I might cause earworms. And that's funny to me because it's so Star Trek. All right. I feel like that's good.
Yep.
Call that a step.
Is that a
Call
step?
a step.
A step?
A step.
A step among friends?
A step. Oh my gosh, look at your ocean. Look at your painterly, delightful, gorgeous ocean. I'm just trying to decide if I want to remove tape yet. I just had to see where it was at. No, it's fine. You're fine. You're okay. It's fine. He gets so stressed. I'm going to have him heat my coffee. But I'll sip this lukewarm sip. Sippy, sippy, sip. Tell them about the mini book. That's what we're working on right now. Right now, as we film this, we are creating the foundation of a mini book. A mini book is a written out step-by-step set of instructions with these pictures next to it that goes over the color mixes we did again, gives you extra tips, terms, ideas, concepts. It lets you do a higher hoot than you might be normally comfortable with. If you're really brand new to the channel, we kind of rate our difficulty by hoots, 1 hoot being the easiest and 3 hoot being the hardest. I called them hoots for a couple of reasons, but the primary one was that I didn't want you guys to get in your own head because these are all beginner lessons, and you know they're beginner lessons because I'm explaining what I'm doing. I'm not demoing, I'm explaining. So even on a complicated lesson, if I'm explaining what I'm doing, it is a beginner lesson. And that's how you know.
And the more you know.
I'm still going to be on my big Silverstone brush because that's how it is right now. I'm going to get a little bit of my blue and green and more kind of green here. And I'm going to start talking about, what's this? Oh yeah, it's Seafoam. Why am I not going into, get a little more ultramarine? Why am I not doing white? Seafoam has white in it, but it is not often white. So you've really got to think about your Seafoam. You can't be thoughtless with it. You got to think about it. And much like the light that was dancing, it makes all kinds of patterns. Seafoam, Seafoam. Lovely, lovely Seafoam. It lets you know the ocean is moving. It can feel like it's not our friend because it's so involved and sometimes really ornate, right?
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes you're just looking at your Seafoam going, man, why you got so much going on? Right into my ultramarine blue, but what I don't want yet, especially in these outer areas, what do I not want? I don't want my Seafoam to be too bright. Now, on the tops of my waves, I can even exaggerate a couple things. Like I can come here and be like, I could push this a little bit, make it be like, oh, I'm a bit of a wave that got away. You just got to kind of take your time and find your way through it. Really fun to do Seafoam.
Mm-hmm.
It's just involved.
It's amazing you're using the same brush for Seafoam.
It's a very good Seafoam brush. A lot of what goes on with our clouds kind of happens in our Seafoam.
Hmm.
Gotta make sure I got enough water in my brush, not too much water in my brush, and you want to make sure that your Seafoam isn't too bright of a white, except in an area you want to put a focus on it. And also being aware that Seafoam itself, it gets shaded. It has value. Sometimes it's in big areas, but sometimes it lets the sand and other elements peek through. And you've got about 3 values of Seafoam minimum, right? Your shaded value of Seafoam, and then you might have some deep shade, and then you have some highlights. So kind of like we got to get these little midtones in, and then we come back and we capture little highlights, and then we capture like the shape of this, and then we shade it, and then you're like, what? And I'm like, I know.
What?
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 Like Amber.
Yes,
What?
just like
Amber says, what?
Amber says, what? She does say what. She must be in an art class. I think only people in art classes say what like that. It's why it pleases me. Because all the time you'll hear people in art class go, what? They'll be doing a brush, they'll be like, what? And you know what that what really means? I didn't know this my whole life, and if I had, it would have been easier. What? All the meanings of the word what. Word what. Word what. all the meanings of the word. What does it need us to? Take your white into your ultramarine. And it's okay that it picked up a little magenta because, heck, you know, purple is a thing. You know, just some places it's very thick, right? Very thick. Other places it weaves around like lace. And you have time. You have time, you and your brush, to think about all the ways that Seafoam foams. Maybe this is Ariel out here. Those of you that read the original actual story, which did not have a good ending. I'm sorry.
It's one of those Princess Bride stories.
It was definitely its own journey, I'll say that.
It's another one of those, what?
What? Let's all say what now. Sometimes you just gotta find your way through. And I may give my mind a mental break in a second and go deepen some waves that I feel could be darker.
Oh, yeah?
I feel some waves could be darker.
This is so neat.
It's just what it takes to do. This is how the Foamy Wave do. Look how, I don't know how, if your camera can get in close enough to this brush to see how lightly I'm engaging the canvas. But it's not pressing hard. Now I'm going to rinse out for a second, like you do. And I'm going to come over and I'm going to get my Phthalo Green and my Ultramarine Blue again, and maybe even a little of my dot purple because that goes so indigo. Sometimes I feel like I got to have a darker. And you'll look at your piece and you'll go, it needs some darker value. It needs some contrast. I feel like I can hear the ocean.
You feel like you can?
I feel like I can. Does that mean we're playing the ocean?
Maybe. Could it be because there's a track of the ocean playing in the background? I don't want to ruin the
suspense,
the magic here, but special effects are happening. We haven't been transported to the ocean edge.
Well, I mean, it's the painting hits a point where it's like, it feels so oceany that you can hear it, right? But you're like, man, I feel like I'm hearing oceans. That's so nice. That's where it is. Let's hear those waves and find those waves in our painting. Where are our waves hiding? Listen to them. Find them. Gosh, John, that's super relaxing. I really like it. Ooh. Oh, God. Yeah, I'm liking it. $9 waves. So many. They're rippling in. It could be from a distant shore. Maybe a butterfly flapped its wings somewhere. I think that's like suburban, but you know, could be butterfly effect, but with a happy ending. I think I'm gonna take some of this cool color. A couple spots. For the foam that will be here, but is not here yet. Kind of purpley glaze. All right. Woo!
Wow. That's some
Some foamy
stepping.
foam.
That's some stepping.
I feel like we should break this because this is a lot to take in, and if we
That's
can
it.
get to here,
We can step it
yeah.
up.
Oh my gosh, I'm loving this painting. I wonder how long before your mom runs downstairs, throws it on a frame in in her room.
Well, go back there with your step.
Okay, step.
Do you know what step this is?
No,
You don't?
that's your job.
I do. I have a button that does it.
I love it when my teams and volunteers are like, "It's gonna be more than like 8 steps, isn't it?" I'm like, "Yeah, could be." Could be, man. I am misting my sponge so that it's holding a little more water. It's very dry. And so my paper is not holding. I should have got my sponge wetter and did not, and didn't boil it, and that's where I'm paying. And so now you see, but it's not like ending my time, and it is keeping my paint, you know, wet. So my paint would have been dry forever ago, but for this. Okay. Let us continue.
Indeed.
Foaming. I'm foaming. I'm foaming. Into the white that goes into the ultramarine blue. This is our off-white of our foam. A great off-white of foam. And we're going to continue to take our little brush on its toe. The trick with your seafoam is you want to leave some areas that are quite foamy, and some areas will have distinctive little openings. Here, and don't forget to leave little openings in the sand.
Mm-hmm.
See the ocean below, maybe a little crab is feeling shiny. It feels so shiny. It's the light pressure giving it around, not dissimilar to what we do in our clouds. Notice how these irregular holes give that sense of something organic.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes the foam along our wave will be very solid into the foam behind it, and sometimes it will be broken up. You need to make sure that you've got room for that to be happening.
Ooh.
Now, at the edge here, it's always pretty solid. We're going to do a cool trick to make it look bubbly, but it's always pretty solid. At the edge. It starts to break up once it moves away from its little initial roll. That's where you can get these little patterns in. And again, remember, you're not white yet. Don't go white yet. Hear the sound? Paint the sound. Hear it, paint it. Think about all the times that you have related to the ocean. Mm-hmm. Have you been there? Maybe you've never been to the ocean, you've only seen it on TV. It doesn't mean that the ocean isn't in your heart. You don't carry it with you. We all come from the sea. We all come from the sea. And we're going to come back. There'll be a couple little passes on how we handle this little corridor. So, no worries on that. Wanna make sure that you keep interesting little openings. Interesting little openings here. You know, and sometimes as you're painting, you'll see a really amazing opening happen, and you'll be like, that is exactly what I was looking for, and you just go with it. This wave is perfect wave, and I mean it really is a perfect little wave. It's an involved little beast. And it just gets more real and more real and more real, and we're not even to the good part yet.
Oh, yeah?
No!
What's the good part?
The good part is the highlights and the bubbles at the end when it's like the realest wave that ever was real. You gotta... Now, along the front, I do like the front of the foam to be kind of dark. So I'm going to come along here real quick. I want this to be a little more blue. We have to shade that front roll. So I grab a little more of my white and a little more of that. More blue. We add the bubbles and the shading to that front spot. It's going to be like, what? I'm going to be like, I know. What? 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 Painting is easy. What? Yeah. I'm so glad you guys are enjoying learning about all these different self-trained artists that had success in their life. You know, I think it's important to know the idea that you don't have to be classically trained at something for it to have value in your life.
Folks were commenting on how much they appreciated the art history stuff you've been putting in.
It's been fun for me too, like trying to connect these observances to the different artists that kind of relate to them has been like a lot of fun. You know? And I love how we're relating to our lives through art. You know, we have other ways to relate to events and things that are happening and history. through the art. I am surprised at how many people are like, I don't know, we didn't cover this in art history. And I'm just like, maybe Dorsey and his never-ending Akhenaten had more to it than I thought.
There's a...
I had the professor that I primarily matriculated with, Professor Dorsey, more than even Reverend Talley, did more of the art history. He just talked a lot. He was very excited about the Pharaoh Akhenaten and his impact on art and how it related to history, especially for people of color, because it had just really been life-changing for him the first time he saw these exhibits.
I remember him talking about it. It was real. I mean, he was really inspired that there was art there that spoke to him.
Yeah.
And that was a very striking experience, I think, from him coming up with a very hard life experience.
Yeah. And to see this beautiful art and these beautiful pieces and this amazing history that he could relate to was really important. So his classes definitely reflected that. But there was like this thing we would say, like, you just answer anything Akhenaten, you just tie it back to, if you don't know, just go, because Akhenaten said so. And he was monotheistic, and he's the one who broke up the figures into a more realistic thing. And did you notice that he has whole feet? Just take it always back to that.
So this is more lamenting about a teacher.
Well, but here's what, we did have kind of an interesting art history, and we did cover a lot of stuff and more of maybe the drama of people. And how their lives impacted the art that they made, I think, maybe. Or how, like, the World's Fair was going on, so this happened, or,
Yeah. Reverend Talley, I think is where I took most of my art history until I got to...
I think he did more design. I think he was more about design and fundamentals. Did he do any art history?
Yeah, remember he did a couple of them that I had done. There was the lectures. And
yeah, I loved his lectures.
That's where I learned about Brancusi and all the sculpturists. And
he got you excited about a lot of stuff. Teachers matter. So if you're a teacher right now and you're wondering, like, do you matter because you're in the middle of this homeschool nightmare? And you're like, it's so hard. It's never going to end. You matter so much. My daughter was like history, and she just recently got her first really great history teacher. Mm-hmm. And I was actually going to write her school just to say what a good job is being done, because the Socratic thinking that's going is just like, she's so excited all of a sudden about stuff that happened. Because believe you me, when I'm excited about it, she's not excited about it. She's totally uninterested. So if you're a teacher, teachers matter. Mm-hmm. I think we should pay teachers and nurses what we pay professional athletes. But nobody put me in charge of anything, which is probably good, because that would be miserable.
We'd have a whole new minimum wage going on.
Oh, yeah. I would mess up the world. I would. I would not be good at that job. So super glad it's not mine. But I do think art history matters. Seeing ourselves in art and elevated in that way, it makes a big difference in what we believe is possible. I'm going to continue to leave these openings. Don't you love these openings?
I do.
And this is just layer one.
Layer one?
Ready Player One. Yeah, I haven't even gotten serious about this front foam yet.
The little front foam's where it's
at. The front foam is, man, that's what I'm excited about. I can't wait to get into my front foam. Hi, TWIX.
It's not far away.
I has a lot of pink towels on the ground, and so that's comfy.
Sock thievery.
Oh, it's so cute. It does you too. Nice painting, but I love you too. Sorry, guys.
She's trying to get pets.
Painting and petting. How many of you are painting and petting right now, right? Oh, she just has so... Okay, you guys have to see her. She's being so cute. Okay. Say hi. Isn't she just the sweetest?
She's the snarfliest little
She's such a good girl. I'm gonna lose my puffy, but it's worth it.
You're gonna lose it.
Okay, I'm gonna put you down. Yeah, careful, careful. Yeah, see. Oh, yeah, see, you got seen. You too. Snurfly, you too. Sorry. Sometimes the studio assistant needs love.
Yep.
You think it's John, but it's not. For both of us, it's Twix. She just loves to come by and get her thing. Get her loves. Get her little loves. All right. Foam begun. Okay. I say we take that in. That's a step because we got to come back and hit with highlights, and then we got to do that front wave. And are you guys super proud of yourselves right now? It's just a gorgeous ocean, isn't it? Yeah, and then we're going to peel the tape when you get back. We'll peel the tape when he gets back. Are you guys ready to peel the tape? Peel the tape? Peel the tape. I'm gonna peel the tape. While Don gives me fresh water. You have to watch the peel and then fresh water. Because I've got to start highlighting and shading and putting some form and value to foam, because foam isn't a flat thing that sits on things. It's more than a pattern. More than a pattern, my friends. Hope I did this right. Woo! That's right. Horizon lines. They matter.
They do.
They do. See, I got to sit back and make sure I don't have anything popping on my horizon line that's making me crazy. I feel like pretty good about it. Any of these will work, and I'll keep. So now the trick is that I'm going to come through and I've got to put in some shadows. There's a few little shadows in the foam that you want to hit where it breaks some light, and then there's highlights. And then in this front roll, we're going to want to make sure we have a nice front defined shadow here. And then there's some highlights that get caught here. And then these interesting like little dark holes that we're going to do with a detail brush. We'll also do some fun lining, like what we did in our clouds, a little bit in our foam. And it's going to create this sort of very super dramatic, really visually what kind of moment, because the perspective of where we are in relationship to this wonderful wave, it's just going to take us away where we can feel the ocean. Feel the ocean. Can you feel the ocean? I think you can. So let's get a little bit of a darker blue going. That's a little more ultramarine. And perhaps out here in a couple of places, let's add a little dark value to some. Some of our foam. And there could be some over on the little far side over here too.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, the little shadows. Foam has value.
Foam has shadows.
Foam does have shadow. You gotta just give it some, or you'll feel like, what? Doesn't look real. And you'll be like, yeah, I know, but it's because you forgot to shade it, and it needs the shading. It does. That's a little bit of ultramarine just sort of glazing over the front. That's sometimes glazing, which is where your paint is thin and transparent, and you're sort of leaning into the nature of your thin and transparency on your paint. Maybe now we get a little more white into it, right? Look at that. Stuff is now about to happen. This requires patience of you.
Yeah.
Yeah. You have to find your patience to do this. There, you can do it. The irregular line is in you. You have it in you. You really do. You just have to find it. As you start to add to the seafoam, you will very quickly see
The foam.
the foam. And put out some more white paint because I'm definitely running thin and I don't want to use my fluid because my fluid won't do the toe technique in the same way that the heavy-bodied white will.
It's really looking pretty spectacular.
It is the painting I hope to teach today. I was like, just with the team, I was like, you know, guys, we're going to be here a minute, so sorry. Everybody is super supportive, and I'm so grateful for that because this painting is worth doing. This painting, and 16 by 20. I'm glad we went back up to a bigger canvas.
Yeah, there were a lot of people commenting they were happy this is done on a larger surface. A larger surface.
I mean, I love my 8x8s. They keep me from getting too drilled down in the time, but it is lovely.
Mm-hmm.
Now here at the edge, you definitely want a soft edge, not like a hard crisp line there. You want it to be kind of on a regular line. I'm going to skip around. Skip, skip, skip. So my brush touches and releases in rapid motion, leaving some of the canvas untouched.
Ooh.
And that's how we're going to get that. So happy with this.
Yeah, it really is nice. This is really coming together.
I just love it. It takes, you know, it takes a minute. We still have some time to go, but we're getting there. Now we can see where we're going.
Mm-hmm.
And I think sometimes it's hard to see where you're going at first. What's the journey? Now we can see the journey. And we understand where it is and where it's headed.
The difference between the close-up and the pulled back is so amazing.
Yeah.
Just so different.
Right? Well, yeah. Yeah, because when you pull back, you see it. When you're on it, you're like, ah, your brush stroke is messy. But when you, from a distance, right? Come on, right? From a distance, you see it. You gotta get up here sometimes. You gotta. Go along, you're gonna. And releasing. And then letting some of the sand show through. You want some of the dark value to show through. You want some of the sand to show through. You know, and there's still a lot to do here, but now that we're here, we don't have to break into so many steps because now it's just a lot of. And in some paintings, they just require that, a lot of. It's a lot of wiggly strokes. It's a lot of seeing what's coming and leaning into what you've got. Stepping back, taking it in. Oh, yeah. This painting deserves 1,000,000 views, man.
Oh, yeah.
It does.
It's pretty
Share
awesome.
this out. This one does deserve 1,000,000 because this actually explains how to get here.
It does. You can do it.
You can do it.
Now you're
Cool that
starting
I
to
did
leave-
it, but it's even better when you guys do it.
Now you're leaving some paint there on there now. A little.
Yeah, now it's a little impasto. It's okay if there's a little brush stroke in it. It's okay if there's a little energy in it. We don't mind, do we?
I don't mind.
Right? We don't mind. We let those things dance. We do. We let them dance. Just on the toe. Lots more white. Getting, through this here, right, where the sun comes down, that's more lit. And we want to reflect that, literally. A little more lit.
Yeah.
We know what we want and we can get there. So in some sense, I really like when the brush is just rough like this because it really helps find the shading of things without making an obvious and very specific line. Really concentrate through here. And even, let's get some of that even. See how that starts to come down? Capture the little foam bits. And I'm going to come on top of this foam, right? Just a bit. A little more white than that, but you get the gist, right?
I do.
That warm light. Stunning, stunning warm light. Yeah, we loves it.
Pretty spectacular.
All right. So we're going to call pretty soon. This is step.
We're getting close to a step.
We're getting close to a step. I'm mixing kind of an off-white again. Just making sure we've got personality up here at the toe.
Tammy's like, need to put some baby turtles right in the beach.
It would, you know, right?
Yeah.
Right? Some baby turtles.
Tammy, if you do that, please share it. I want to see it.
Yeah.
I want to see the baby turtles on the beach. That would be fun. You know, but we're more likely to have a Klingon bird of prey beaming up a great blue whale. But that's just us.
I mean, but I support the turtles.
I do support the turtles.
And the manatees. Oh, the humanity of the manatees.
But like many art forms, if you're truly going to appreciate them, you have to get them in the native Klingon.
I don't wonder, right? Just some bright yellow coming down here. Finding little moments. That did. Okay, it's a step.
It's a step.
It's a step. It's a lovely step. But we have another step that we must do. There's more steps. There it is. So now we're going to be getting into our detail brush, our bright white fluid paint, and a dark
You stopped mid-sentence.
and a dark color.
A dark.
Yeah,
dark
we're going to be a
color.
dark. So first, let's get a little of our purple. I put out my glazing medium just to thin it, and a little of our black. Also because it'll let me have a bit of a This is going to be a fussy minute, you guys.
Mm.
So just buckle up for the fussy minute. This line, it should wander. It should not be smooth or straight. It should be very wiggly. It's a mix of Mars Black, Dioxazine Purple, and acrylic glazing liquid gloss.
So if you really wanted to, do you think you could put a silhouette on the beach?
Sure.
Mm.
You could put a silhouette on the beach. You could put sea turtles on the beach. I mean, what you want, you can put on the beach. You know, we didn't leave a lot of foreground, so
That's true,
it's
yeah.
very likely that the person standing at this view would be a little bit off the canvas. But here's what. Take it to your phone.
Yeah.
Find the silhouette you like and adjust it till you're happy and then paint.
Use chalk.
Don't guess.
Test it.
Yeah, test. He's right. Test. Test
Well,
what you've
you
got.
can always erase the chalk with water. So you just chalk it on there and make sure that you're like, yes, this is where I would like my silhouette. And you don't want to be like, oopsie. Because there's some time putting those waves in.
There is, and you're spending some time with it, right? Who knew Seafoam was so involved? But it is an involved bit of business. Seafoam.
You know who knows?
Seafoam.
The unicorns.
That's true. The unicorns and the Little Mermaid knows. She's pretty aware.
I think she's skeptical of that Seafoam. I think she's more like, yeah, no, that's okay.
She loves my Seafoam. What are you talking about? So, couple of things we're going to do here. One thing we're going to do is we're going to put out, I just put out more white paint because I know it was going to be dry and not perform for me. What we did in the clouds.
Oh, you're going to
Mm-hmm.
Oh, hold on, wait. We go to there. Oh, oh, there you are. Oh, you're highlighting some water.
Sure.
You're adding some high resolution splashiness.
Why not, right? Doesn't have to be there to be there. Sometimes a detail in a specific location can create all the difference into how something presents to our mind's eye. How we feel about it, the fantasy of it. Taking the story to a place that speaks very specifically to us.
There's some Aqua Bro jokes happening.
Aqua Bro jokes. Don't feed into John. I probably should be using my little palette, but I'm okay. My other palette is close enough to me that this is all right. So, just going to make sure that the seafoam that I have going on here also has a little detailing, right?
Oh.
I mean, if you've got the time, you can make it amazing. If you take the time.
It's so late or early, depending on where you're at around the world.
Is it?
It is. So I think in like in the Middle East, it's like 10 or 11 at night. Someone was just saying.
What a nice
midnight.
Midnight. Oh my goodness! Thank you, Middle East, for being here. I know it's late. I know it's late. Lots of places. So this is worth doing. What we're doing here.
Okay.
These weird little details make it so amazing. Tiny little wiggles. Notice that I wiggle my detailing as much. Like I said, knowing how this is done. Really done. Not demoed, done. That's important. I also like to create little dashes and details, especially down the corridor of light. You can put them anywhere. They're especially wonderful here. And you've got all this paint, you might as well enjoy it, use it, and have fun with it. Could you use the squeeze liners? I'm sure you could. If I've got to thin my brush out, because sometimes the paint will dry as I paint, I'm using a #1 monogram liner. Right? The fine brush. I could have used a dagger. Not a dagger, but a pinstriper. There's a lot of brushes I could use. But you just gotta take the time. Do it right now. This little element helps us find unbelievable detailing that we didn't even know we did.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, you knew you did because when you get back from it, you can really see it. But this will help it look good even when it's up close. That's another important thing, right? When you're working on your viewability
Yeah.
of something. How does it register? Yeah, I noticed that I wiggle my brush a lot.
I do.
So I can do this because I have fluid paint and a good brush. Did I finish the wave and then we did a step, or am I just going into lining?
I'm not sure.
I don't remember.
I've been lost in your.
I've been lost in it too.
But that's okay.
It's okay.
As long as we have some delineations for people to be able to. They really like the steps breaking it up because it allows them, to know that if they're in the middle of this step, they can kind of find it and go back there, and it helps digest the sections a little bit. So, wow, this looks really nice. Once you're finished lining.
Oh, that'll be the end of the painting.
Oh, well then there you go.
Well,
That's okay.
I've got to do shadows too.
Yeah,
I'll line through here, and then at the front of the wave, we'll make it its own step, so it's not too overwhelming
I think
in the
that'd be
write-up or in the redo, because there's a lot to do at the front of the wave. I focus these lining details here because that's where the lighting is strongest. So
that's where the most sparkles happen.
that's where, yeah, and that's also, beyond all of that, that's where I want the viewer to pay attention. I want their attention to be here.
Pay attention, viewer.
Pay attention to my painting. I would say this here is probably one of the few things that I do that was maybe from my own core techniques in my own paintings, which
You do a
Sean
lot
can
of this,
attest
yeah.
to.
This is a lot of you.
Yeah, I used to do this type of thing in a lot of my paintings. This type of playing with the line work. So this is sometimes where, you want to do nice little dashes and dots and things kind of coming down. It's okay to let the paint be thick and capture the eye. Seafoam can totally do that. Wiggle and capture the eye. Get them highlights. Get them details. This is why you want to paint with me on Acrylic April. You can be here. Everybody will have different openings in their paintings.
Mm-hmm.
Different bits of sand in that wiggle technique will show through. You've got to learn to find yours. What you see me doing here is I'll be painting along and I'll go, oh, that needs a minute of definition.
Mm-hmm. Oh, wow.
And step back and look.
It really comes together there.
It is coming together. It's coming together beautifully. Gotta light the way.
It really does have a three-dimensional quality to it.
And it just lets us feel the painting. Like this. Also, when things are sharply in focus and things are out of focus, it creates a draw on the eye that's so specific and okay. Let's call this a step and then we'll finish the wave, the front of the wave, which is where all the pizzazz should be. All the ah. Are you guys kind of almost 15, 16 steps? It's fine. Just 16 short steps and you can paint this wave. But I mean, when you see these paintings in a gallery and you're like, what does it take to get there? Now you know. And you're not like beating yourself up thinking it was some like 2 or 3 strokes or just a half second to do. You understand, oh, there's these layers and these layers build up and the textures and the elements of each thing plays against the other. Now, we're going to do a little shading. I'm going to take a bit of my glazing medium and some of my ultramarine. And we'll glaze a little bit of shadow. It's important to realize that waves, foam, everything here has form. So I want to make sure that I've got some delineated glazing and shadow. If you have to kind of work your front edge here a little bit, you know, do take that time. Do work that front edge. Maybe get into even like the make sure that down here low where this curls and it would have its light block that it is. Interestingly enough, we're going to come through at first with some dark. All right, we want some dark. Dark on the foam. Now you like up front, it's like but when you get back, what does it make the wave look like?
Yeah, it makes it look all cool.
Right? It looks like what you'd expect.
Up front, it's all like, you put Swiss cheese on your wave. Why'd you do that? And then when you get back, you're like, oh, it's not Swiss cheese, it's foam.
Some need to be bigger, some need to be smaller. Real easy to assume it's just the light.
They need to be
dots.
dotty.
Huh?
They just need to be dotted.
Yeah, they do. They need it. You can do it through the whole thing, but again, I find that if I'm just trying to get elements of an essence of something, it's what I put focus on versus what I choose to not focus. And I may dry my painting a little bit so I'm not dragging any wet paint from my lining. That's a tip I might give you if you're having to rest your hand, which I am. I'm going to dry everything just real fast, and then I'm going to get back to it. So we'll go dark light lines and then light lines.
And so for everyone who's just joining us, thank you for coming in. And if you don't know, we do create a mini book for this, which is available in the description down below. Generally, it takes about a week for us to finish them, and then we link them in there. But if you go back to any of our previous videos, you can find those mini books. Yeah, so just keep a lookout in the description down below, or go out to our website, sign up, join the site, and you'll be able to get notification, because whenever we release a new mini book, we send out an email. So
yeah, those get, and I post, there's newsletters, like we do a lot of things. We try to make sure you guys know, plus once you learn the file segment, you can always go by and check where the files are. Things will be much more defined and viewable here. They'll fade out a little bit back here, right? These will be lighter and less specific, not in our range of focus. Not really even about the way the lens of our eye focuses, but the way our consciousness focuses. Sometimes I like to make sure that also in a couple of places maybe I add the shadow. A distant little kid of foam. What do you think of that? Sometimes it's a weird thing. Just those contrasts can matter. Oh, I love the sound of the ocean. How do you guys like the sound of the ocean today? The waves. They're very calming to me.
yeah.
And that was my idea. So if you're like, I would have loved this painting, but there's ocean, that's my fault. I just thought it would be great to be here in the water. This will pull itself together
It really has.
when the white dots go on. In the center. And then we will be there.
Everyone is just loving this. Very peaceful.
Gorgeous, peaceful, wonderful
And
painting.
you didn't use metallic paint. That's just all regular old paint, isn't it?
Oh, yeah, no, this is just regular paint. No glitter, no metallics. That is just painting technique right there. Not that adding metallics isn't painting technique. It totally is. It's just a different one. All right. So you'll notice that as I get to the outer edge of this... Oh, so good.
It really is.
It really needs those wackadoo dots, doesn't it?
The little dots make it.
Now,
All the tiny, tiny little unicorns trying to get out of the way.
top of the wave. About here.
You got to dot it away.
Dot, dot, dot.
Dotty, 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 dotty.
More at the top, not too much down into the shadow.
Mm.
Fluid white acrylic is my favorite #1 monogram liner.
That just makes all the little sparkles.
Makes all the little sparkles. Those little moments. Seafoam is alive, not just because it's made of mermaids who mistakenly love the wrong dude, but also
Unicorns.
unicorn.
Unicorns.
All right.
Those mermaids, they're just causing
And
trouble.
again, you kind of want to, and so what that does is it'll create, if you'll notice our detail makes a cone and goes to the sun.
It does.
That also gives this piece a spiritual feeling, as if you're elevated. When you're trying to paint something that speaks to that elevation, that connection to that higher, that is, you know, that's why the Grand Canyon makes you go, ah! Because there's this scale, this pulls you in, this scope. And this is how in your painting you can create that sense of scope.
Oh my. Let's see here. Padmarchana.
Hi.
Padmarchana. She started this on a 36 by 48
You
So-
are going to love it when it's done. It's going to
It's-
make you so happy. You're going to feel like you're at the beach. The bigger you go with the ocean, the more you'll feel like you're at the beach. It's wonderful. Though, interestingly enough, little tiny ocean paintings can be really kind of great too. Because they'll let you feel like, oh, I love it so much.
It's so good.
You know,
Those
you just gotta
little dots.
the little
they
dots.
Make it awesome.
They're trouble and they add time on the video, but you know what, guys? At this point, you might as well know how to make it awesome, right? That's what it is. I've got. If you've got my dotting tool, this is over in a second.
Or if you don't, you can just do it with the back of your brush.
Or toothpick. Toothpicks are great dotting tools.
Or a stick, or a pencil.
Don't have the golden
or-
fluid medium, just use craft paint. There is a way. And now Abstract has a soft-bodied paint, so you could use that. So there's a way.
Oh yeah, there's new golden super matte.
You mean Abstract good?
No,
matte?
Golden has a new matte paint.
They have a new matte paint?
Yeah, I saw it out. I saw
Ooh.
they have
sent me none.
they have a new super matte paint too. There's lots of new paints, all sorts of stuff.
We're almost there, guys. You kind of just, as you come out here, it's there. It's less, right?
Yeah.
Concentrated less. More in the center. Pull the viewer in. Now I'm going to do a weird thing with my signature. I know a lot of people want to put it down here, and that's cool. I'm going to see if I can't do a weird thing. Because here's the thing. Every mark on a surface like this, everyone,
All the marks.
all the marks count, including your signature, or the composition.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes I like to be a little thoughtful about the way I make my marks. Especially on a piece I worked
This
this
is
hard
so
on.
amazing.
Does it look really poppy? Yeah, it looks
really
very
does.
foamy, right?
It looks
At that
foamy
front
there.
edge.
The sky looks like cloudies, and the beach looks beachy. It looks like, you know, at any moment you could see a Hasselhoff cruising across that beach in the endless tan. We all know he's secretly running to his car kit. That beach job was just a cover.
You guys see it?
I see it.
But why not, right?
Yeah.
I'm an artist. I mean, it's not like later somebody will be like, did she sign it? I'm like, it's on video, like, you know I did. You literally, I don't know that you could forge my shit. Oh, sorry.
So there's going to be a beep in that one.
I really apologize. I hope I don't get demonetized.
No, what'll happen is that you'll get beeped.
I'm very sorry.
You'll get beeped at some point.
Well, does it beat me or do you beat
I
me?
can beep you later. I post beep you.
Can you post beat me? I'm really sorry, guys. I did not mean to do that. I didn't. I got all excited about my painting. And it's not that I feel like that's just the worst thing in the world. It's just I know we're all in different places, and I always feel like I'm in your home, and I try to be on my P's and Q's. If a light
Luckily-
had dropped on me, I would have dropped a bomb.
Luckily, we're not on public broadcast, so you're not going to get, like, we're not going to get fined. And besides, it's not one of the words that you can, like, I think you can get away with one of those in a.
It's my one.
Well,
In
no, like
7
per
years,
episode.
that's not bad, right?
No.
1 in 7 years is not bad, so we'll take that as like, okay, that was my one. But this was a very involved painting, and my brain was up here. What do you guys think? Do you feel like you
Oh, it's
just
pretty
had
good.
your dream ocean lesson?
Mm-hmm.
Is this the one that you've been like, gosh, I really wish you'd do this lesson? Did I do it? Did I do it?
You did great.
I did it. And now you know how to do it, and I can't wait to see yours. in group, on Instagram, on Twitter, on Pinterest, wherever you want to share it with me. And let people know this is the channel. Tell your friends. Let's get those views up.
So how do we want to?
I'll tell you what. Right now, if this does 100,000 views this month, I don't think well, but if it does, knock on wood, if it were to do something crazy like that, I will come back and teach a similar scene at night.
Ooh, you'll do the night.
But it has to do it in this 30-day period. I see that happening with some videos with piano and stuff like that, and I feel like I'm not good, and why not, right? So if, this video gets out there and people watch it and they subscribe and it goes big and you see it hit
It does the do.
It does the do, and I know you guys love it that much, so I'll come back and do one this involved on a beach, similar scene, but at night. And I hope this convinces you to come by for Acrylic April from April 1st to April 30th and paint with me every day so you can develop the skills, because it is a story of water and you will leave that month here.
Yes.
Like all the time, like you're like, I already did the hard thing every day. This is nothing. I'm proud of myself.
This is beautiful. You should be proud.
I feel like this is now one of my favorites on the channel, just period. You know when I get fancy with my signature? Mm-hmm. That I'm into it.
Well, I'm going to give everybody a quick look around before we go.
All right, you give them a quick look around and some music. I'm going to say be good to yourselves. Seriously, be good to each other, and I want to see you at an easel really soon. And I will keep my promise if it hits that in 30 days. Okay,
Okay, guys.
Bye.
Bye.